Hello, good morning. I am thankful to Dr. SSP Singh ji for inviting me today on this historic day, that is World Poetry Day. I am also thankful to the Principal Sahib and Dr. Sushminder Kaur, Chairman of the Department of English. It is really something very important day, not only for poets but also for the society, for the community, and I would say for the universe at large. In the whole world, people are talking about poetry and its effect. It is said that it is not what is important is not what poetry says, but what poetry does. In this way, we have to focus on what poetry can do to this world. If we look back, we see in our departments we have been teaching poetry from Shakespeare, Milton, Wordsworth, and the study of the poetry has made a lot of good sense to our society. At least it helped us in refining our sensibilities. And you can see that these days, when technical courses are on the rise, the content of poetry has been reduced, and our young students are not exposed to poetry or even to literature. Or I can say that literature has been pushed to the margins. It is a marginal subject, peripheral subject. Actually, everything that is being done is in accordance with the social currents. The society has been commercialized, the society has been materialized, and the spiritual content in society is on the decline. There is a more emphasis on physicality, material, and we can see that there is so much of religious paraphernalia which is on the increase. But if you look into these things, the spirit, the essence of humanity, of religion, of spirituality is on the decline. We are passing through a decadent period in which I believe that if we want that we should cleanse the system, the corruption that has crept into the thought patterns of humanity today, we will have to revert to that old system of introducing poetry at every level. Now, how poetry affects is very important. Generally, we say that poetry has a very elevating influence and elevating impact on us. It makes us, it gives us sublime thoughts, no doubt. But the problem is that poetry is not an economic art. You will see, if you look around, that poets' ancestors were seen in the courts, in royal courts, and they were praising the kings. And then they were given some gold coins or something. This is the tradition from which poetry springs up. But during the 18th century, when Romantics wrote with William Blake, uh, Tennyson, and Arnold, there was uh, an upsurge towards poetry of protest. Most of them, protested against the evil effects of industrial revolution. Even today, we see poets are not silent. They speak against the deadly customs that are coming up in our society. Suppose we can say there is a female feticide, there is equality, there are abductions, molestations, nirbhaya. People are poets after poet. You see, they are talking about these things in their poems. But here I wish to make an observation that most of the time, for us, poetry is a part-time business and an academic. It is an academic art. By academic I mean academic means there is a syllabus and we are doing something for the sake of examination. So when you are asked upon to write a poem on female feticide, you sit down, write a few lines, go to the stage, read it out, there is Baba, and there the matter ends. On other issues also, we do the same thing. Why I call it academic? Because in my view, things should not end there. Loving poetry is one thing. All of you love poetry, whether you write it at night or during the day or as a part-time, as a hobby, love it, no doubt. So loving is very good. Then comes the idea of living by it. I wonder if there are any people in the world, very few, who are living by poetry, by their earnings from poetry, because poetry is not an economic art. And we don't look upon that from poetry a family can be raised. If there is anybody, um, just think if you can find anybody who is entirely on poetry. Now, the third aspect of writing is very important, and that is living poetry. Living poetry means whatever you are saying. If you say female feticide is bad, you should be careful not to be a part of this exercise. If you say there is gender equality in your poetry, then you should make it sure that whenever a girl child is born, you never knew why it was not a male child. So I mean to say that poetry, interest in poetry should not be only, academic. It should be real. So poet's integrity is very important. We should say whatever we feel. And one more important thing is that just as we say that uh, poets also are uh, the guards of society. Whenever something foul takes place, just as you see, we have dogs at home, and whenever there is a thief, they bark. In the same way, poets also look for the betterment of society and they must speak up if they see something amiss is going to happen. But in this aspect also, there are we cannot say that everything is fine, because what we see is that we try, we use words in such a way that they do not hurt anybody, do not hurt anybody. We go on saying things, but without saying anything. Heaps of words are there which do not mean anything, which do not say anything. And then there are awards. Awards are used to silence your voice. Once you are awarded, you will always feel grateful. And when you are feeling grateful, certainly you cannot perform your essential function of alerting the society against the excesses that you find in society. All these things put together make us bring us to this idea that we must be very cautious while writing. And if we do not write about our society, about our environment, and if we are not committed, if our integrity demands us to be on the side of the people, and we are not on the side of the people, I think that I have seen many people who say we should be neutral. So neutrality is the worst type of politics. Why? If there is something wrong, why you should be silent? A poet should not be silent. If you are silent, it means I will, if it is a divine, virtue, boon that has been given to you, and if you don't use it when it is needed, it means you are trading it. And I will consider it flesh trade. If you don't use your words when they are needed, if you do not speak when it is needed, if you are doctorate in silence in order to please somebody, very bad for society. So friends and my fellow poets, I wish that on this day we commit ourselves to the service of society, because we don't take ourselves seriously. That is why this world also does not take us seriously. You see, Shelley said that the poets are unacknowledged legislators of this world. Why unacknowledged? 200 years we have passed by. Why we still remain unacknowledged? This is a big question for you. Why there are no poets on the administration of a chief minister? Why poets are not, when there is some international delegation is coming? You have everybody, economics, politics, foreign trade, everybody, but you don't have a poet. Things are going on in the name of culture. Here again I wish to say that if we are putting our past before our eyes, how will we tread forward? How can we tread forward if we are always looking backward? So there we need certain, so discretion is needed in everything that we are doing, and the poet must assert his might. He is very powerful. He is a prophet. He must prove that he is a prophet, but it is a divine virtue which cannot be traded. It cannot be sold. So with these words, I would like to wish you all the best. And here is my poem for today. I wish to share the stage so far as poetry is concerned. Here is a poem, Mahabharat is still on. It is wrong to think Mahabharata belongs to a gone by epoch. It has lingered into our modern times, and we are still in the thick of this great battle, which proved good was more powerful, and it was thought it had finished evil. The battle of Mahabharata is still raging. The Kauruvian army has come to life again. Duryodhan is still reigning supreme, and you can see on his side great warriors, great powers, and great intelligence. The only thing that has changed now is that the armies of the Pandavas have further shrunk. The armies of the good have further shrunk. And most disconcerting thing, they are not supported by good Shakti, Lord Krishna, who in that great epic caused the Asvasthama movement. You know Asvasthama movement, when they told a lie and Dronacharya was killed. Pandavas have powers, but they lack the killer instinct, which the Lord's presence lent to them in that great war. Otherwise, who would have won if the Lord had not sided with them? Now things are stranger. People are unable to distinguish between Pandavas and Kauravas. In our fight, what we see is we are unable to distinguish between Kauravas and Pandavas, and Kaurava heroes have learnt all the nuances of the language the Lord spoke. And they wear Pandavian masks, confusing the masses. With the expanding armies of Kauravas, there is terror in the divine camp. Angels rue. Angels rue. Why? Good has not been able to brace itself to fight evil. This is the question. Why? Good is unable to fight evil. And why today again they need intervention of the Lord? Swords are clanging, bleeding corpses covering the earth. Language has lost its sanctity, and actions have lost their essence. Angels hear the victory drums of Kauravas and desperate sighs of Pandavas. Good is in such a situation. A voice emerges from the skies. The thunder is clear and vivid. In the flash of lightning, the good people hear faint voices of angels declaring, Lord has not abandoned you. Lord has not abandoned you. Remember, it is no good being good when evil threatens you. I hope I am clear. If the good people think that they should remain good, they should remain attached to principles when evil is threatening them. So we need Asvasthama movement. The way Dronacharya was killed, the good has to use those, strategies. Otherwise, Kauravas will have the day. So, friends, thank you once again. Thanks the administration of Ggn Khalsa College for inviting me. So nice of you.